Hello and welcome to the Mill. I'm your host, Dusty Crane, and this week the 10-year anniversary celebration has begun. We have some community news and a little update on where Scythe Digital is. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So Jamie sent an email, depending on when you see this video. This is kind of time-sensitive information in some regards. So the 10th anniversary celebration technically takes place from September 21st, which was this past Wednesday as I'm filming this, all the way through October 1st. And what that really means for you is, first, everybody who buys a physical product from Stonemaier Games will get 10% off their order, unless you happen to be a Stonemaier champion, and then you can add 20% on top of that, so 30% off in total. But when you purchase a physical good from the Stonemaier web shop, you actually get a free copy of Smitten, which is Jamie's 1-to-2 player cooperative game. Now, that is available free until October 1st with every physical order, but if you happen to encounter this video after the fact and you've never even heard of Smitten, it's available in the Stonemaier web shop it'll be available for $10. In fact, if you get a free one and you want to add another one, it's going to cost, well, right now it's $9 because the 10% off, and less if you're a Stonemaier champion. Between Two Cities Essential Edition is available for sale now. That is Between Two Cities. I sure hope I said cities first time. I don't know. Anyway, Between Two Cities Essential Edition includes some of the same contents as the Capitals expansion, what's considered essential. So there's not going to be all of the meeples that were available in the first Capitals expansion, but everything you need to have a really cool experience playing Between Two Cities all in one box. The three promos for Rolling Realms, Honey Buzz, A Feast for Odin, and Smitten, the Rolling Realms promo, all of those are available for sale. It's nice having three of them available at once to help with savings on shipping, and that is kind of what's going on for that 10-year celebration, so that stuff is available now. If you're a Stonemaier champion, you got an email about perhaps another good that is available to you, so go ahead and check your email inbox if you are a Stonemaier champion. And then I wanted to do a quick community shout out. Now, because Stonemaier is celebrating 10 years of Stonemaier Games, there is a YouTube channel called Nacho Average TableTop. Yes, nacho, like nachos and cheese. Nacho Average TableTop has created a new Stonemaier video every single day of the month in September. There's reviews, there's playthroughs, there's all kinds of good stuff there, so check that out. And that is not the only community shout out I wanted to do, because I also wanted to mention Wingspan.com. Now, Wingspan.com has been around for a while now, and it is kind of the premier place to go for Wingspan strategy. There's all kinds of, there's videos, there's, I think they host tournaments. There is just a ton of information if you want to really, become just a really fantastic a Wingspan gameplay, a player. Jeez, I don't know. Words, what do they even mean, right? So if you want to be a great Wingspan player, Wingspan.com is a great place to get strategies. In fact, one of the things they're doing right now that I think is really cool is Jamie has been sharing different cards from Wingspan Asia and has begun to invite other people into it. You saw last week, or perhaps you saw last week, I was invited to share the Desert Finch, and I did so. Elizabeth Hargrave has shared, with her love of weird beaks, has shared her favorite bird, or at least a bird with a weird beak from the Wingspan Asia expansion. And then one thing that I thought was really cool was Jamie invited a fan to discuss one of the cards, and that one was, if you're familiar with Wingspan and you're active in the Facebook community or asking questions on Board Game Geek, there's no question that you have ran into or benefited in some way from the contributions of Travis Wilsey. Again, I'm really hoping I pronounce his last name right. I've mentioned him several times through the years, and I really should just get a confirmation on that. But Travis, anyway, quite the lover of the frogmouth birds, and there is a frogmouth bird in Wingspan Asia, and Travis was invited to be the first person to share that information with the Wingspan community. And I think that's just a super cool thing that Jamie did for Travis to allow him to, you know, kind of thank him for like really all of the many contributions. I did just today learn something really cool, and I'm gonna take just a second to go to the Wingspan Facebook group, because one of the cool things about this particular card, this frogmouth card, is that it's not from one of our usual artists, you know, that we're used to seeing. The Sri Lanka frogmouth is what Travis was invited to reveal. And the cool thing about it is it wasn't Anna, it wasn't Natalia, it was actually Anna's sister Catalina who drew that frogmouth. And if you look at that card, I'll go ahead and toss a link to the Facebook post where you can find that. You know, I'll put the link to the Board Game Geek post there so that you can go check out what Travis has shared. And looking at the art on that card, obviously Catalina, a very talented artist too, so very cool that they were able to increase, the artists were able to increase their stable of artists, right? So Catalina, just every bit as talented from the appearances as her sister. And that brings us to kind of the main topic that I wanted to talk about this week, and that is, we had heard a while back, I think it was April, that Asmodee Digital was no longer going to be the publisher for Scythe Digital Edition. It was actually going back to the developers, the Knights of Unity. And so the Knights of Unity, you know, over the last few months have been in the process of getting that code. I don't know if necessarily getting the code back, but, you know, kind of getting more familiar with what is going on, taking responsibility for the roadmap to come. And they have talked about, you know, the fact that your Asmodee account is going to transition to a new, probably Knights of Unity account, and the work that goes into that. Well, just a couple of days ago, they revealed their roadmap, what is going to happen now that they are fully in control of Scythe Digital, and I could not be more excited. Now, this is the same developer that's been working on it the whole time. However, I have to imagine that because Asmodee was the publisher, they were kind of at the whim of the publisher as to what they could work on, you know, if the publisher isn't wanting to pay for that app to be developed at the moment, then, you know, they probably have to put their resources somewhere else. At any event, now it's completely in-house there at Knights of Unity, and they have presented kind of a 4-post plan. Now, the first one is kind of the boring stuff, right? That's the stuff that happens behind the scenes. Let's go ahead and review the code. Let's simplify it. Let's go ahead and optimize it, first and foremost, because they're going to be adding a lot of variety, as you will soon see. So Milestone 1 is code refactoring, and that includes stuff like the account transfers. They're going to be running closed betas probably with their new account system. And really, probably where the account system matters the most to you is if you're a competitive Scythe player and you have an ELO and you have standings, you want all of that game data that you've already built up to transfer over and still be relevant. That's really going to be important. So they're going to have that accounts transferred over, closed beta. They're working on optimizations, bug fixes, and they mentioned missing features. Now, a little confused about a couple of them, because one was like an undo button, which we have, or unless that was pulled at some point and I just didn't notice. But the undo button, and they want to do work on ELO. Now, ELO, if you are unfamiliar, is often used in online gaming, in apps in particular, and I guess not apps in particular, but ELO is almost like a reputation system. So if you are the type of person that is about to lose and then you disconnect from the game, or you are somebody who, you know what, I'm just going to let the clock run out on every one of my turns to make that, kind of unpleasant for other people at the board, your ELO numbers are going to drop. You're going to be somebody who, basically the whole purpose of ELO is, if you are a bad actor, they want to pair you with other bad actors. When they do when they do matchmaking and you're looking for people to play, you don't want to punish the people that are doing it right by forcing them to experience players who are malicious or not wanting to do it right. So if you finish your games, if you, even if you're about to lose, if you, win graciously, if you lose graciously, if you are if you're consistently winning, your ELO is going to climb. If you, have a bad game, your ELO is going to drop a little bit. So anyway, it is more or less a system to determine who plays who. And so that looks like they might be reviewing that. The second milestone is our next bit of expansion content to enter the game. The second one is the Wind Gambit. Now, they do mention airships for the different factions, along with those the airship tiles, that control whether you're taking resources or workers this time, what your unique ability is, or the group shared ability is for any given game. And then the next one is resolution tiles. So I think, I could be wrong here, but they mention how many of these tiles there are, and I thought there was less tiles that they were saying that they were bringing into the game than were actually a part of the expansion. Again, I could totally be wrong here, but a scenario in which I could imagine that would be considered is if there was something that maybe they felt didn't work too well being in the digital game, or maybe it was too hard to program around. In any case, there's going to be the airship tiles, and the resolution tiles. Some of those end games, there's one in particular that I'm really excited to see how they handle it. There is I forget exactly the name of the tile, but basically at the end of the turn, or when someone gathers their last star, basically the factory in the middle of the board explodes and takes everything with it within a certain hex range. Now, they could make that look just really cool in an app, and I'm looking forward to seeing if they did pick and choose which tiles to bring into the game, if that's one of them that they included, because I just think that would be really cool to just see that factory explode and take kind of char the earth around those hexes, and everything's blown out of there. Very, very cool. The second, the third milestone is the Modular Board. Now, you might have thought they jump right into Rise of Fenris, although if you know what is in the Rise of Fenris, you realize this is going to be a very big undertaking, but I am getting ahead of myself there. First is the Modular Board, and that is going to include the rules for the Modular Boards. There's going to be some drafting for your home base position, as well as they are going to include the variant for a tighter map for a smaller player count. So if it's just you and one other person, or you and two other people, those modules, the map itself, the board, can be modified to tighten things up, so you actually do have that feeling of a larger player game where you're kind of all on top of each other and competing for the same resources. So that is planned to be a part of Milestone 3. The fourth and final piece is the Rise of Fenris, and what the Knights of Unity would like to do is that full campaign, all of those episodes. And one of the bullets that they called out was modules from the expansion, and I could not be more thrilled to hear that. Now, without any spoilers, because I know there's still people that are discovering Scythe and discovering the Rise of Fenris, one of the things I've always said about the Rise of Fenris is that Jamie and Ryan Lopez, the designer, the co-designer, they, in my opinion, made the Rise of Fenris a love letter to the fans, a love letter to the franchise, because there are ways, again, without giving things away, there are ways that you can, it's almost like a toolbox that you can customize Scythe to what you like most about it. So if you're one of those people that is like, I just do not care for the combat of Scythe, there's a way to discourage combat that, disincentivizes it. There's things that you can do if you love combat to really amp up the likelihood that those battles are going to happen. And so the fact that they're going to include modules in the expansion is amazing in my book. Now, a challenge that the only challenge that I can possibly foresee is every time you introduce DLC to a game or downloadable content to a game, you run the risk of kind of fracturing your player base. If only half of the people buy the Win Gambit, then when they search for a game that includes Win Gambit content, they only have half of that player base to use. And so as we bring on the modular board and the Rise of Fenris, I definitely am going to see or foresee a need where maybe a lot of those extras come as a part of or kind of necessitate you making plans with your friends on the side and then joining, where you kind of discuss ahead of time, hey, we're going to play the modular board and we're going to use the Win Gambit content, but we're going to use this resolution tile. Something where everyone on board is kind of, has the same DLC. You kind of know who has what. You can schedule it versus, maybe trying to go out there and say, I want to create a new Win Gambit game with this resolution tile and waiting for players to become available. If your player base becomes fractured, it may take longer and longer to find a game. So there is a little bit of, work that Knights of Unity have to do to make sure that however they decide to handle that, whether it's only one person has to own the DLC or whether everyone has to own the DLC, there will be some work to be done to try and make sure that there's games available, even if they do like some other companies have done. And if you can't find a game in a reasonable amount of time, then offer to fill the game with AI. I think that's a good compromise too, and something I think that Knights of Unity will certainly have to consider as they continue to develop this DLC. Now, the blog post where they share this on Steam does caution the fact or does state that all of this stuff is subject to change. They could decide, we're going to start with the modular board and then we'll work on the Win Gambit next. All this stuff is scheduled to shift, and based on the sheer amount of content that's still to come, I have to imagine that this is a multi-year deal. I don't think we're going to see anything in 2022 except for, maybe continued work on moving the Asmodee accounts to whatever the Knights of Unity lands on. But in 2023, I could see maybe getting the Win Gambit and possibly the modular board. It probably just depends on how large their team is, how many resources they have available to work on it. I would not expect Rise of Fenris in 2023 unless they've been working on it this whole time. And it's hard to say, they've had the license for a long time, but again, it was under another publishing company, so maybe that slowed things down, or maybe the work that was done didn't transfer. I don't know. It sounds like it wasn't a nasty thing. It sounds like it was totally amicable. And in the live stream just this past week, Jamie had talked about sitting down with Knights of Unity and Asmodee, all virtually, of course, and maybe as even emails, but just kind of the discussion of who's gonna that Knights is gonna take it over and what that probably looks like. I would imagine there's probably some kind of monetary consideration. Asmodee Digital, if they literally are just collecting money at this point because the development was kind of stalled out. Why do you give away the title? I'm sure there was some kind of agreement. Maybe there's a profit sharing. I don't know. But in any case, it sounds like Knights of Unity is very excited to keep working on Scythe Digital, and this I guess this roadmap of things to come just has me excited. I am very, very, very eager to get back to the Rise of Fenris. Ryan and Jamie did such a great job with that expansion, and not to take anything away from the other expansions. It's just, like I said, it's the love letter, in my opinion, and having that story build out of that world of 1920 plus. It's cool to see the way Jakob allowed Ryan and Jamie to play in that sandbox. And so it's it's always hard as a fan of the game to talk at the Rise of Fenris and it being done, but having it available digitally would be a very cool addition to my collection, and I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, that was the mill for this week. 10th anniversary celebration going on right now. Go pick up your copy of the Rolling Realm promos if you are enjoying Rolling Realms, and get yourself a copy of Smitten and Between Two Cities. If you don't have that, now you get the opportunity to get both of those in one shot. Between Two Cities Essential Edition, including the Capitals expansion, and the community shout out to Nacho Average TableTop and Wingspan blog, and all that good news about Scythe Digital. That is all I have for you this week. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Thanks for watching. Bye.